Welcome to the Hate to Lose podcast. I'm your host, Christian John Bradley, and this is a podcast where we talk to people who hate to lose more than they love to win. And today we have my brother, Kevin White. Yes, he is the co-founder of Spottyr, and it's a platform designed to help wellness professionals run their business and deepen their relationships with their clients. He has great experience with Fortune 500 companies, tech startups, and this one is a great point too, even though he got an MBA from UCLA. Now, the Trojan, you already know that has to be love here because he's over here in this thing. So, all right, man. So, yeah, just welcome to Kevin, man.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me, man. This is a pleasure to be on this platform with you. I love, what you're doing and trying to build here. And, I went to UCLA, man. Like we were talking a little bit off camera just now, how USC just put the things on us. And Juju ain't crazy, Juju.
They're crazy.
Well, you might have won the battle between
right. There's a guy. It's good stuff, man. Great stuff. Let's jump right in.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your upbringing.
Yeah, so give a little background on myself. So I was born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm a first-generation immigrant. So my parents immigrated here from West Africa in Monrovia, Liberia. And, my parents got married around almost at the same age I am now, like early 30s. And there was a Civil War coup broke out, and basically everybody had to flee. So parents left with my older brothers, left Liberia, and came to the States with basically only $2,000 in their pocket and just had to come figure it out. And, that drive, hunger, and, excellence that I've seen them go through in order to, get to where they were. I saw that growing up, and then that just really sparked in me something. Me and my brothers, there's three of us. You have to be excellent in everything that you do. You got to be, 2 times better than the person next to you just to get, half as much. And, growing up with my 3 brothers, we all were competitive, playing soccer with each other. I was the youngest of 3, so we're like 5 years apart. So, the youngest one kind of gets to, pick up the game early. So, I got better, faster, but, they were bigger and stronger, so it was, it was always like that back and forth on it. And, so grew up, so that's kind of how I got in sports and athletics. Was also very passionate about as I was in high school, throwing parties with my best friend, and that kind of got me into like the entrepreneurial spirit as well. And so, was super hungry about, just bringing people together, having events. And, that ultimately led me to, want to, understand business. And so after, being in Alabama, I went to Georgia Tech for undergrad. And while at Georgia Tech, I studied business, joined fraternities, and, continue to, be in school. Always, as I was talking like African parents, right? It's, get good grades. Like, this is how you're going to like go far in life. And so for me, it was like, go to school, get good grades, and get a good job. So that's like the path that I was on. So always just trying to excel, push. And so up until this point, I pretty much done and achieved everything that I like set my mind to, right? It was, got into the school I wanted, got like the internships I wanted, had the girlfriends I wanted, like all of those different, like this, if I wanted it, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And then I remember the first times I had kind of faced some adversity was I wanted to do this internship. I got an internship. I did investment banking. And over that summer, I, grinded. I was working like 100-hour weeks, and I didn't get the offer to come back. So that was kind of like my first like setback. Like, so it's always been like, I'm hungry, going to go get this. And, I didn't get that offer. So I was like, man, like kind of like that, got punched in the mouth for the first time. And I was just like, okay, this feels weird. But like, how am I gonna, overcome this? And so in the moment though, I didn't know I was overcoming. I just know I was like, I'm not dead. I'm going to keep, going and scratching and clawing. But ultimately, like I ended up continuing to work, got into some working in corporate finance, but didn't really want to do that long term. And I realized like that passion that I had from like playing soccer competitively with my brothers. And I never let that, leave me. And then that morphed into starting to do personal training. And then I was doing bodybuilding. And then that morphed into like, oh, like this is actually, something I'm really still passionate about. I enjoyed helping my, clients who ended up coming to work out with me. And then also kind of I was talking about earlier about like, throwing parties and that entrepreneurial spirit. So now I'm kind of working in 2 realms, like the business entrepreneurial side, wanting to be competitive there. And then I'm also thinking about, the fitness and wellness side. And so then I actually realized like, oh, I can actually work at this intersection And then that's what kind of led me to go start this company Spottyr, which I'm working on now. And that has taken me on a journey, brought me here to LA, how we got connected. And so I say all this to say that setback and that like hunger drive, that competitive nature I had to want to succeed. And I thought I got like stopped at one point. It really just was a door closing, and then I got redirected. So the competitive like juice like never left me, but all those like life experiences kind of led me to where I am now.
Got you.
I know that was a lot, but
Either all these, like I said, I'm piecing it together. I want to take me back to the battles with your brothers.
Yeah.
What did it mean to compete with them?
Ooh, it was one thing I will say. It was a healthy competition.
Yeah.
I would say that. It was never like nothing. It was like, we almost get to fight, dust ourselves off and be like right back cool. Like, don't like what's good. Like you hung, but it was intense, man. Like it was very like when we'd go play soccer, it was like no holds back and like nothing held back. Slide tackling each other, pushing each other to be better. It was, some trash talk, back and forth. My oldest brother, Sergeant, he's he got like a little angry streak. So like he's like, if you push him and if you foul him, man, watch out, like don't step on my ankle. Like, I'm just like, dude, relax. Like, it's good. Like, I'm not trying to take you out. We just, playing hard. But that I think really pushed and molded us to, continue to always like strive and be the best. And, having that foundation, I'm actually thankful that I have like brothers, because that I think that, if you grew up, not saying it's just a different scenario if you had like if you're only child, like where are you going to find that push from, unless it's coming like directly from maybe your parents or internally. Yeah. Right. So it's just like how you think about it. So yeah, that's what it was like for me.
I grew up in a family of 10 people and 6 boys. Right. And we played throw tackle, bro, played basketball side, played tackle football on the concrete, like anything we Madden on the game, like everything. And yeah, man, it definitely shapes that competitive nature. And so you mentioned how like that competitive nature, like it drove you to success. And so like, what do you feel like from those moments, from growing up with your parents, watching them grind to being with your brothers, like what do you feel like was driving you towards the success that you had up to a point?
Right. So I think seeing the distance traveled from my parents, I always felt that like I had no excuse in order to, take it to the next level. Right. So I felt like I was always standing on the shoulders of like, my parents who had done a lot of groundwork. And that was where my first like internal drive came from to like, okay, I got to go, take this to the next level. All right. And obviously, like, again, talking about my brothers, and we all kind of had that instilled in us. And, as I've continued to, grow, get, more mature, have more life experiences and gain more wisdom, that drive is still there, but it's more so morphed into understanding like what God wants for me in my life. And then so the competitive spirit in me now comes from me wanting to like fully live up to the potential that, the reason why God put me here. And I'm not saying that's like one thing, but it's just whatever I'm doing, like I'm going to put my heart, soul into it. And so whenever I'm doing something, it's like I can't lose, because like if this is for me, I'm gonna win. Like, so that's how I think about it.
Fantastic.
It was just evolved over time.
Yeah. That is a very unique perspective to have. Not a lot of people have that perspective about winning, about purpose.
Right.
When did you realize that you're different?
Yeah. I've always felt different. Like I'm like me and my girlfriend talk about this all the time. Like she tells me too, like she's like, I feel special. And I honestly, I hope that this feeling is not just unique to me, because I think I'm special, but I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I just think I'm special for like, there's a reason why I'm here to do certain things. So like I realized that at a young age. Like, I mean, I was like really, really good at soccer. I was really, really good at, just bringing people together. I realized I just had a lot of unique talents that like could fit together. And it was just always just kind of figure out. It's almost like you had this Rubik's Cube and you're just trying to figure out like, all right, what's the combination? Because once this combination unlocks, it's gonna go crazy, right? And so I've always had that feeling, and it's almost like I'm an entrepreneur, right? And so like as an entrepreneur, you have to have like some level of, like you have to have a vision, you got a dream, and like a certain level of delusion that you're like crazy enough to just go after and do it. And because that, like, I know I feel special and I know I'm here for a reason, it's like that continues to drive and propel me forward.
And when you have that vision, you have that work ethic, you see a vision, you see it come forth, and you see it come to fruition. Experiencing a no when you've been used to that,
right,
is challenging.
Right.
And so you mentioned when you didn't get the offer in investment banking.
Right.
Take me to that moment. Like, what was that like?
Oh man, that was like, it hurt. All right. Cause, up until that point, like, everything was kind of like boom, boom, boom. And, I remember actually recorded that conversation. Like I went into that meeting, just like, had my phone in my pocket. This is, back like 2012 or something like that. And I was like, oh man, like you're telling me like I did all this. I'm sleeping on the office floor, like, pulling all-nighters back to back, and like I still didn't get this offer. Like, and then this person got it. And like, so then it's like this, kind of like you're questioning yourself, you're questioning like, am I good enough? Or am I, do I deserve to be here? And once you kind of go back and you sit with yourself and you understand that, hey, maybe not this opportunity is for me, but then you find out that, hey, like this is what you find. What do you do in this moment? Like, what are you made of? Do you quit? Do you, go, completely go left, or do you dust yourself, get knocked down 8 times, get back up 9, right? So
what did how did that happen for you? So like you got the response and saying you're not getting it, you're experiencing all these things. Okay, what happened? I did all these things like that.
Right.
Like, what were those conversations like internally where you decided, okay, I want to move forward from this, versus like sulk and what just happened?
Yeah, for sure. I would say, I'm a type of person, I try not to, like, resilience is like the amount of time it takes for you to get back up once you're knocked down. So I'm thankful that I found out that I was resilient in this moment, that I was like, okay, like, I might have been down for like a day or two, and then it's like, all right, like, let's get back up, let's get on it. And that internal like dialogue was, okay, it's almost like I took names, right? I'm going to show, I'm like, not that like I have a proverbial, like, folder with people's names on, like, oh, like, they didn't believe me.
Some people do.
So yeah, they knock that, like, just like for motivational purposes. But pray for ease. And what I saw was, and I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's like, for me, it's like, you can't lose if you keep going. So it's like, it's only like a L if you like stop. But if you keep going, it's just like, what do you learn from this, right? And how do you like break it down? Okay, so what went wrong? Okay, did I not build the right relationships? Was my technicals weak? Was it just not the right fit for me? So it's like you able to like, compartmentalize and break down actually what happened, and then you're able to like move forward. And so for me, like in actual how that actually manifested itself going forward is I still never shied away from finance heavy roles. Still went to corporate finance, still went and got my MBA, focused in finance when working with all these people who did those jobs. Starting a company where I'm building out the models. I have to understand that I'm doing that at the highest level. So it's like, I know that I'm doing that. And, that's what's kind of, for me, is kind of redeeming that, even though I had that little setback, it didn't stop me from going and doing whatever, God's really put in my heart.
So from that setback,
yep.
What happened after?
Yeah. So specifically from that setback, went back to the drawing board. I kept interviewing. I found out about this program called C2C. It was called College Life to Corporate Life through Alpha. So I'm an Alpha, shout out to the bros. And they had a corporate finance program. And so at GE Healthcare, so it's a finance rotational program. And, you know, as I spoke about earlier, how, you know, doing entrepreneurial spirit. And I realized like I ultimately wanted to be an operator in a business and actually, you know, run a business. And so like, if you think about it, like banking is more like transactional. They advise companies, they do deals, they help underwrite, they provide strategic services from the outside looking in. But if you go in corporate finance and you're running the business, you're in the day-to-day operations. So for me, it was like a better fit because I want to actually learn how to run a business, which is what I'm actually doing now. So I know what it takes to actually get from point A to point B. And so that's what I'm saying. Like when one door closes, like another one opens that allows you to like, you know, lock in and get to where you're trying to go. So to come back to your question, you know, to landed that role at GE Healthcare, and then that just kind of springboarded me into all the other roles that I've done. And, you know, as I was working in, you know, corporate America, I got that experience, but then I still realized like ultimately I wanted to get back to my entrepreneurial roots, and then also fitness and wellness, all that was still like, you know, pulling at me. So I was able to find that intersection and really kind of continue to dive into it.
So what was that tension, or was it tension between like the corporate finance and then the fitness and stuff like that? What, like, talk to me about the relationship between those two in that time.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, it was, so working there in corporate finance, so, you know, your mid-20s, you know, I won't say how old I am now. About old, you know, it's finance is a very linear job path. So it's like you start like analyst, associate, you know, VP, MD, you know, so you can kind of like see what your life will look like. And I was looking up, and I was looking at the bosses who I had, and, you know, I didn't really want their life. Like, I was like, oh, this is what this is about. Like, you know, I enjoyed like business and putting it all together, but I just didn't want it, you know, to follow necessarily in their footsteps.
Why?
And so why? Some of the some of the corporate environments that you're in, it's like, you know, especially as a person of color, it's not necessarily, you know, there's a book called Black Faces in White Places. And, you know, this talks about, you know, kind of like the mental toll that it takes on, you know, Black men and women when they're playing in these environments. And it's not necessarily conducive to, you know, to being able to bring your whole self, to thrive. You know, you're really just kind of like a cog. And so as I looked at that, and I didn't really necessarily see myself in the leaders who were above me, I was like, man, what am I going to do that's actually like going to I didn't just come on this earth just to work for somebody else, like make some money for a company and then to die.
My God.
I was like, really, that was your thought process. But so like, that's like okay, this is my job. But then I'm working out, I'm training, like I'm in shape. Now people are coming to me. So I started to build a brand in the fitness side. And I was like, man, and I've continually done this since ever I started working out when I was like 17 years old. So like, I'm like passionate about this. I'm good at it. I'm learning, I'm getting certified. I'm seeing my clients and seeing how I'm impacting their lives. And so I was like, oh, this is where I'm being pulled. Right. And so, but then but I also like trying to figure out, I was like, is this what I like want to do? Is I have all this like knowledge in business, but I'm like, am I just going to go leave and go be like a trainer? Like I was trying to like figure that out because I was doing it, but then in my business brain now, always thinking about scale. How can you scale it? Okay. And I know as long as I'm trading time for money, is like, I'm going to be capped. So I was thinking about how can I create the biggest impact with, you know, helping my clients, because I enjoy this one-on-one coaching. I enjoy doing my group classes. You know, my energy is, I'm always like, let's go. Always bring that energy. But I was like, okay, but I can only scale this so much. And so I'm actually in my like corporate world now, I'm working at a company that's like a software business, and I'm seeing how they're growing scale. And I'm just like, oh, that proximity that I was able to like be in the position to see, you know, how investors come, how people raise capital, how these corporations and high growth startups run. I was like, oh, I can do this. And so again, like that competitive juice, like once I see it and I'm exposed to it, it's like, oh, you're not like we made it the same stuff.
Same stuff.
You put your pants on just like I do. You know, my CEO at the time, a guy named Kyle Porter, the last company I ever worked at, Sales Loft. They raised a $60 million Series D. I came in as a senior financial analyst, and I was helping putting all together the monthly decks, seeing all the reports that he would have the conversations with the investors. So I'm seeing all that interaction. I was like, oh, I could do this. That was a thought process. I don't think it was an ego type of thing. Honestly, it might have been a little, if I'm being completely honest. But again, it was just exposure of just like, oh, I could do this. Like, we're made of the same stuff. And so taking that like leap of faith and finding a problem that I was like passionate about and the people who I wanted to serve, these coaches, and then helping their clients, and then having that experience in the corporate world, that just really kind of, again, found the intersection for me to just go for 100 miles an hour of what we're doing now with Spottyr.
Hey man, you mentioned something about you seeing what they're doing and be like, I could do that. There's times where God will expose us to something that speaks to our spirit because that's what we're supposed to do. And we're like, yo, like I could actually do this. Somebody else is doing what we know we could do.
Right.
And it's like for me, okay, I know I can speak. I watched people like, bro, like I could do this, man. Like legit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, man. I think it's more of like when people have a deadly mentality to that. It's like, yo, like I'm gonna try to get your thing. Like I'm gonna try to take your opportunity and stuff like that. But it's like exactly. I'm like, it's like God showed us something that he's going to bring us to.
Right.
And that's what it was for you and building the business. And so watching these meetings in finance, watching the CEO operate stuff and watching the scale, and then you have, your clients, stuff like that. So when did you decide to merge the two?
Yeah, good question. So, and I just want to touch on a point that you made. Like, yeah, it's never like, oh, if you see something of somebody else and you get inspired, it's not like, oh, I want to take their thing. There's enough in this abundance of, resources for everybody that go have their own and go excel and do great things with it. So it's definitely never about that. But for me, like when I was able to actually kind of make those two things happen was, COVID actually around the time COVID. It was what? I think I started working in October 2019, and then I left Sales Loft in 2020. So actually, just stick with me because I'm here. So my oldest brother is also an entrepreneur, and so almost like not competitive. I'm not like it was competitive, but it was competitive. So he's on.
So let me say something. So through for the competitors, like I really want to restore the ethos around competition.
Yeah.
Because the world's definition is we're going after the same thing, have to establish superiority over you.
Right.
But at FTC, like we define competition as internally driving towards victory, hitting a trout. It's not about anybody else. That's not about like and it's like you have a vision. It's like if I'm competing against somebody, if I'm bowling or something like that,
right.
My goal is to win.
Right.
People are a part of that, but beating them is not my goal. My goal is winning. And so the objective is to win. Also, not to lose. I hate losing, bro. I just like, yo, oh my gosh. Anything, bro. I hate losing. But yeah, so bro, so I just wanted to say that, yeah, when I say competition and stuff like that, it's not about to tear anybody down. So especially in the business and corporate world, that's what it is. It's like, okay, I have to. It's like, nah, like God does have a lot, has enough for everybody. So,
gotcha. No, I heard you on that. Well, yeah, I bring him up because he's 10 years older than me, so I got to see a lot of his steps, and then see I won't say they're not missteps, but steps where, especially in business, and you're talking about entrepreneurship and their stats around like, less than 2% of all VC funding goes to Black and brown entrepreneurs, not all minority entrepreneurs, and then, let alone Black women. And so for me, I wanted to get all the experiences that I could so that when I did go do something on my own, that I would almost like have like the infinity stones of like, oh, I am increasing the probability that investors say yes to me whenever I come in front of them with my idea. So by me working in corporate finance, by me, having that investment banking internship, by me, having all these, working at this company Sales Loft, and then what ended up happening, so this to kind of full circle to answer your question, I was studying for my GMAT to go to business school because in my mind I was like, okay, I have this idea about, creating a platform for coaches to manage their business. I know if I want to take it far, I know I'm going to want to raise capital. So how do I make sure that like when somebody's talking to me and I'm like the CEO of this company, that like they're talking to an adult, somebody who understands a business and who knows how to run it, who's experienced the problem, who's actually knows how to run a business. So I was like, oh, okay. And also I was looking at schools in LA because health and wellness, fitness really does well in LA. So it was all strategic. And then, so I was studying for my grad GMAT, which is like the grad school administration, the exam to basically get into your MBA programs. And I remember one day I was studying at work and my CFO walked by and my backpack was open. And I had the book in there and he's like, are you trying to go to business school? And I was like, and you normally kind of keep that hush before, because you're not trying to lose your job. You're like, oh, you beat me? Oh, Patrick, this is so late. So next thing I know, like, a couple weeks later, like, I got canned. So, but it was also like COVID, so like, I gave him a reason to let me go. But I was already like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm already making this play. So it kind of like, I got kind of pushed into, I was making my way, but then I got like, pushed in. I was like, God, honestly, is probably like pushing me into this. So that was kind of the transition to, really kind of get going in this. That brought me here to LA, went and got my MBA at school. We incubated the business. But again, all of these steps is, again, it's like my mentality is just, to do everything at the highest level, compete with the best of the best. Like, no, it's like, it's all it's chess. I'm looking at the chessboard over here and right in front of me. It's like, it's chess moves. Obama said something I always, keep in my mind. He said, you got to put yourself in position to be in position. So it's like the previous steps you got to take in order to, if you're trying to do something. So, that's how I think about it. And I think like when people are really competing at the highest level, it's like, it's not a physical game. It's all mental, it's strategy.
Mental. And that's why I love chess. All mental strategy, man. So, and you talked about the chess moves is the strategy of getting these infinity stones. And then, of course, that combines into why you decided to do Spottyr. So, what has that process been like? Of course, you have these experiences, you have the L's, you have the victories, you have the lessons, you have the losses, you have all of that, and above all of that, you have the belief that you can actually do it, and you need knowing that you can do it.
Right.
And so, what was that process like of you actually like, okay, making this happen? Like, okay, it's an idea. I have this passion, it's an idea, but now it's tangible. What was that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think that was one moment. I think that's a continual continuum of that you find out every day, and you're just putting your foot, like one foot in front of the other. And it's almost like, if you're driving across country and then, it's daytime and then it goes to night. And then when it's nighttime, like you can only see like, a couple, feet in front of you, but you'll still get there, but you can only go so, but you got to kind of keep taking the steps. So that's kind of been like how that journey's been. To kind of make that, tangible. I remember like one of the first conversations, like when I knew that I was going to like make that move. Right. So I talked about like African parents before. So it's one of the things I was like, for me, that was kind of like a mental block. Like, all right, I'm going to leave this like safety net of jobs and finance and all this to go like, start, do personal training and start a business in this. And I remember like coming into my parents' room and, talking to my dad. I had to like puff my chest, like, I don't care what you guys think. I'm going to go do like, he's like, my dad's just looking at me like, okay. I was like, wait, what? That's it? He's like, I'm cool with it. Just long as you stay out of trouble, don't end up in jail. I'm So, I guess having support is always good too. Like, so once you know that your closest people around you, like, and sometimes you got to do it without the support too. So let me not say you always get that, but that was kind of like not a barrier, but once I kind of got through that conversation, it was just like kind of training wheels off, and it's just been off to the races.
So what is that? What has it been like from like, okay, writing the line of code to you just launched, man? So congrats, girl. Like that's
Thank you.
Huge.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that journey's been you know, there you fight headwinds and you just got to find ways to keep going. So I met while I was out here in in LA at UCLA. I met my co-founder David, super genius. I mean, he's also you need to get him on here.
Terrible.
A competitor
For sure.
and yeah, him and my other guy Big B, they go back and forth on chess. But they compete with everything. So like, yeah, I'll definitely them on here. But yeah, the first lines of code was like I think like May 17, 23 or something like that. And we got our first MVP out by like October of that year. And we just been in testing, getting more beta testers on the platform. We got people paying us now. And then we basically, like you talked about, we just got ready for our launch. So we haven't launched
yet. Okay.
So it's about to launch like in the coming weeks. So it's like we're just in the last little bit of like QA testing.
So,
but we started to put out like all the pre-launch materials. So it's about to good. We about to go live. So I'll let you know for sure.
For sure.
But that's been a journey. It's been a journey because it's not, and I mean, I think you said something earlier, like, hey, like, you can do something, but you go after it. But it's like, when you can do something, but you haven't done it before, like, that's a zone where it's just you guys got to have like belief and faith, right? It's like, okay, technically I've started a business before, but not a tech company. And so I just have the faith that I'm smart enough and I will have the wherewithal to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, that comes with repetitions from, being an athlete, from working out, from, banging your head against the wall to just keep going, right? So it's just like working out, right? My probably all-time bench is probably like, I probably shouldn't be sharing it. Anyway, my all-time bench max is probably like 280, right?
Let's go.
I'm not that big, right? I'm like soccer players, right? But to working up to that for me was like, you hit it like boom, all right, take the bench off and you come down, you press, and you fail. But then until you get, it's like, but in your mind, it's like, I know I haven't hit this before, but I know I can get it. And then a spotter comes in, like, no pun intended. See what I did there? Spotter comes in and like they help you, like, dang, I got it. Like, all right, but I don't need the spotter no more, but I'm here. But then at a certain point, then you hit it, and then next thing you know, you're practicing, and then you're actually working out with that weight. And so it's just like continuing to press, even just knowing and putting yourself in that environment to stretch and be in that uncomfortable zone. Because that's uncomfortable when you're failing, right? But you just got to keep on doing it over and over. And I think like that is that just like that drive and that competitive nature to just want to really just see how far you can push yourself to become like the self-actualized person of who you want to be.
Yeah. Man, you said so much. I have so much to say. I just see, you said something about failure. I see there's a difference between building and failure, where like what I saw you doing in terms of building, like the bench, I feel like that's building. Right. In our minds, we're like, okay, I'm failing because I didn't achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve. But you get there and and then the next time you get up a little bit and you go, well, the next time you get a little bit, but like if the goal is to get the rep, and you're not getting that, it just feels like failure, but not realizing, they're actually building up to that point to it. Something else I saw with Spottyr, with the, like you said, like, okay, you benching and the Spottyr comes out and gets you. Yeah. Bro, like how many times have like there been, I spotted people when people spotted me where they're not even touching the bar. They just, well, bro, it's like, it's psychological. They're just underneath it. And so it's a lot of times, it's not even our own strength. It's knowing that somebody else is supporting us that gets us through. And I feel like that's what your business is going to do, bro, Spottyr, because you're going to take care of the things that the business aspect, the client aspect, the management aspect, to actually help people realize that they can really do this. More. And man,
yeah, that's big. And don't charge me for that. So I feel like I'm gonna get an invoice for that.
Bro, that's great. So yeah, man. So in conclusion, bro. So we go from your parents coming and hustling, coming here with $2,000 and hustling and building and instilling that work ethic with you, competing with your brothers, experiencing the failure, learning from it, God repositioning you to learn, giving you these skills, and then building, inspiring, and here you are now. So just take some time to really reflect on the journey and really like, what does it mean for you to like, what does hating to lose mean for you in the context of your story?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we covered a good bit. The way I would, encapsulate all of that is hating to lose would be knowing that I had a vision, I had a dream that God put in my heart to go live out, and I'm constantly like, asking like, am I in alignment? Am I in alignment? And getting that affirmation that I am, and then not putting my all into it in order to achieve it. So if it's going to be there, it's like whatever you do, go all in. So whether that outcome, quote unquote, is achieved or not, it's did you leave it all on the field? Did you leave it all on the court? Did you eat all the food off your plate? Like that for me is that, what would you call it again? The not lose, hating to lose. That's the hating to lose, and that's the regret that I don't want. I don't want the open-ended regret.
That's open-ended regret.
So I don't want to have the like a what if I did. It was like like I saw it to the close. Like
So what's not supposed to happen?
Right. Yes, exactly. So then it's like win, lose, whatever. It's like, that wasn't the thing, right? But I'm not gonna have a what if. That's what I can't lose.
Oh my goodness. Spectacular. All right, so that's it here. Spectacular conversation with Kevin White, co-founder of Spottyr. Amazing conversation. This is the Hate to Lose podcast. I'm your host, Christian John Bradley, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Can I just say something? It's a short. I mean, I just want to say, like, I'm just here interacting with you back and forth. Like, you got a gift in this, man. So, you made it super easy for me to share my story. And, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. And just keep going. I see the vision. I just want to, just tell you on your platform, I see what you're doing. I told you before, like as with your newsletters that you have, I'm sharing those with my boys and, and girls. And I see it, man. And so more people need to hear about this platform and just keep sharing it, keep pushing it, and tell anybody and everybody who will listen, man. So,
Appreciate it, man. Really appreciate that, bro. Like man, a lot of stuff that you said like really hit because I'm like understanding the journey of an entrepreneur,
right,
and understanding where I come from and stuff like that. It's like like the one thing that every person has that I really connect with and that I really aspire to and like or inspired by is like the competitive nature, bro.
Right.
It's like, of course, like Kobe. Kobe was my favorite athlete of all time. I don't think he's the best of all time. He's just my favorite of all time because of his mentality. And I'm genuinely curious about, I have that as well. I'm like, I hate losing. And it's not even that, I want to see other people lose. That's never it. Like, I want to see everybody win. And for me, it's just about, exploring that and allowing people to embrace their competitive nature so they can be successful and they can go after the things that they don't feel like is accessible to them. Also, again, like I said, restoring that the mentality around it, because it's like, like I said, genuinely, when I'm competing against somebody, when they do something good, I'm like, dang, that's really good, bro. Like that's awesome. Like that's awesome because it's bringing the best out of me, and so that's what I want. Competition to do is to bring the best out of people. So that's what this podcast is for, and that's what we did today. That's what we did here today. So, all right, we'll see you next time.